Trump is, as I'm sure you know, getting brutalized in the polls. It's been going on for a really long time, and it's about the economy, and it's about immigration, it's about Epstein. It's a lot of different issue areas hitting him simultaneously. And Republicans, they don't really seem capable of rehabbing the image of the party. When they've done well, even for them, it's because Donald Trump has been seen to be a little bit better. The issue is that Donald Trump has constructed this bubble around himself where he seems now incapable of reading not just what people who don't vote for him want, which he's never especially cared about, but he no longer even seems to understand what regular poorer MAGA people want. And he's in this bubble that is just, well, it's like, I guess it's made out of marble, I suppose, maybe fine gold, not Temu, not Home Depot gold, good gold. And they can't seem to get through it. And so you're starting to see more leaks of frustrated Republicans and people who work in the White House communicating about how hard it is to get through to this guy. And so one close Trump ally speaking to The Atlantic said, people voted for him to lower prices, to bring manufacturing back, to stand up to those taking advantage of them. They didn't vote for him to build a damn gilded ballroom. He's not hearing them. And don't worry, I'm not gonna go off on a whole big thing about the ballroom or whatever, even though there was this amazing breakdown of how in-depth involved he is every day in it, and also about the growth. Okay, I'm not gonna do it. It's ridiculous though how much more he cares about that than anything else. But anyway, apparently the aides around him, they can sort of see how disconnected and elitist he's looking. So they tried to get him to do this big trip, I guess, where he's gonna travel around America and talk about the tax cuts and pretend that they're gonna benefit regular people, do a little casual lying, which might actually help him. And he decided that he didn't want to do it, because he's been distracted with other things, some of which, if he wasn't a stupid a-hole, could actually bear fruit, but it hasn't. And it's not the sort of thing that most voters really seem to care about. And so he's mostly turned his attention overseas. He obviously wants a Nobel Peace Prize. He's scheduled that summit previously in Alaska with Vladimir Putin while pushing for a ceasefire in Gaza, which we got, and that's why things in Gaza are so great right now, It's just great to be a building or a person in Gaza these days, thankfully for the ceasefire. Then he did, they did the tax legislation, then there was the big Epstein thing. And then, he was able to break through the government shutdown, and then there was even more Epstein stuff. And he's obviously done a terrible job of messaging around that. So this is definitely a hole he's dug for himself. They were hoping that he would get involved in these important primaries like in Virginia and New Jersey, and he didn't do that. He did like a couple of virtual rallies. And this reminds me, we did reporting yesterday on Sleepy Don and how he's done 39% fewer public appearances at this point in his presidency in this term than he did in the first one. And so that's hundreds of events. He could have done a dozen for each of these candidates. And think about it. Donald Trump loves doing rallies, right? In his first term, he was still going around and doing all these big rallies. Why isn't he doing that anymore? He still loves it. It's because either he loves his marble and his ballrooms and his champagne more, or the dude just doesn't have the energy to travel like that anymore. He could drive to a golf course nearby his house every once in a while, but to actually do like an hour-long speech, he just can't weave like he used to. And so they're apparently urging him to reconnect with MAGA, which he doesn't seem to care that much about anymore. They've apparently begun quietly complaining to one another and at times to West Wing officials that in the past 2 months, Trump has squared his attention on a faltering retribution campaign against political foes, which doesn't even really seem to be working, like with Comey. Let's see, a potential war with Venezuela, which I'm sure will clinch the Nobel Prize for him in 2026. Massed ICE raids that have terrorized immigrant communities and have turned a lot of independents against his immigration policy. And of course, the demolishing of the White House's East Wing to construct an opulent ballroom to better entertain wealthy donors, as he brags about how much money the richest people in the world have been giving him. When regular voters think that you are not paying attention to them, you're not delivering on your promises to them, and that you in fact don't even understand the issues that they're facing. And he's reminding them of that constantly, saying that prices are going down when they're not, saying that inflation is at nothing when it's not, constantly telling us about how much you can't wait to brush shoulders with billionaires in your ballroom. That's not just not helping you, that's actively hurting your cause. And he seems either too stupid, or his brain is decayed too much, or he just doesn't care care anymore. He's just coasting to care. But there are people in the White House that would very much like the Republicans to win the midterms. The question is gonna be, can they actually get through the marble bubble that he's ensconced himself in time to make a difference for next year's elections?